yeah, there were. So like the beginning of the stream was like hell. My DM not only got a new microphone, she also got a new computer. So the day before the stream, she actually lost all of her sound setting files and like her maps and shit. And I actually ended up sending her a SATA to USB adapter because she ripped out the guts of her old computer and still had the hard drive. So she had to manually, and she forgot to like export all the files before she go. So she had to like manually go grab it, like get like the program files. Like it was this weird complicated thing where we had to like reconstruct a fucking key for Sony Vegas, which was a whole complicated process. But basically, the night before we had to get all our programs back. During the stream, I don't know what microphone she has, but if you peak or you're above a certain volume or above a certain like sound level, it actually cuts her off. So that was happening a lot during the stream. And then like Sony and like OBS was not picking up the audio, so she started freaking out, thinking the recording was messed up. So we had to stop and double check all of that. And it turns out, like, because, like, the microphone has this, like, automatic noise gating thing, OBS doesn't recognize it. So, even though it does, but it doesn't, like, tell you that it is. So, it was a weird thing. But we kind of just powered through it. And once, like, we got the technical issues sorted out, we got to, like, play the game normally. And that shit was really fun. I'm a player, but like I got to DM for my DM and the rest of the party, so we got to switch places mid-game. That shit was I wish I'm gonna ask my DM for the recording, but she went the extra mile and she actually made a player token for her character and she made a DM token for me. Actually, let me show you like the DM sprites because those also like started talking. Gotta find it. Like fucking look at this shit. This is what evil Cloudy the DM looks like as a sprite.
Yeah, that's pretty apt. That's exactly what I thought evil Cloudy was gonna look like.
It was a really fucking great game. It's weird. I guess like since we're not streaming, this is just gonna be like a pre-record episode of the podcast. I don't know when we're starting or don't know when we're ending, but like we can start or do whatever, I guess. We'll figure it out. I think.
Do you have Audacity running?
I've had it running for like the last 5 minutes.
All right. Well, I've also started recording, so I guess that we'll just like figure it out.
Alrighty. Well, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't really have like a topic set up because like the majority of last week has been like me trying to like get emotionally ready for my job, which the job is fine. It's just Sunday just had something really unfortunate happen. I wake up at like 9 a.m. and my phone is going off like crazy. Like I set like an alarm and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm supposed to be sleeping. I look at my phone and it says, I get an alarm saying, call your girlfriend and click here to call her. And I'm like, what the fuck? And it's like my ex-girlfriend's number. Apparently what happened, I used to call her on her birthday every year when we were together. And we broke up like 2 years ago and like my alerts went away when I got a new phone. But this is like my first year with like an Android phone. Apparently the alert was saved to like my Google account and I had no fucking idea.
Oh yeah.
So I did that. And I deleted it and made sure it's off any fucking thing. But, like, waking up first thing in the morning fucking groggy if you had, like, a kind of a rough sleep, it's like, So that kind of unnerving.
And be reminded of your ex, it's just like,
Basically. But that's, like, unnerved me for, like, the majority of the week. But, like, I'm slowly living again. The work's fine. The work's easy. Like, I'm literally just taking, like, the morning for Wednesday off to do the podcast just because, I mean, it's a part-time gig, and I don't really care. But hey, I work from home, so I can just do whatever.
Oh, that's good. I thought it was, like, a full-time thing.
It was supposed to be, but I didn't get hired for it.
Oh.
They actually took me back as a contractor, and I'm like, all right, fine. And I decided, yeah. So it's like, okay, you want to pay me for like half effort? I'll give you half effort then. It's all good. Anyway.
So, like, I originally had, like, this plan of... so seeing that we are already, like, recording and we're going behind the curtain, typically the way that we do it is that we discuss a little bit about, like, a certain topic that we want to start off with, but now that we're already running, I actually wanted to start, like, today's podcast off by talking about something which is completely out of left field.
Oh, let's go.
Do you know of mantis shrimps?
Yes, those fuckers punch super good.
They are the fucking coolest fucking thing in the entire world.
They have like little the way they explained it, apparently like there's a misconception where like they can see like 1 billion different colors more than we can. That's actually not entirely true. The idea is that like the way humans' eyes work, their eye gradients, they can kind of see like a whole spectrum of light, whereas like mantis shrimps have like an individual tube of light specific for every single color and shade. So technically, they have it's weird.
I'm looking it up now. Apparently, they have 12 to 16 different color photoreceptors. That is 3 times more than a human.
Yeah, but each one is for like an individual color, so like even though you would think they have a wider spectrum, their eyes don't work the same way we do. At least I think that's what it is. But like that's not the coolest part. The coolest part is they punch good.
And ask me how good they punch.
How good do they punch, Lasse?
So a mantis shrimp can punch at the same velocity as a gunshot from a .22 caliber rifle. Their punch is so fast that it results in cavitation bubbles. This is a superheated bubble and small flash of light, which for split seconds also generates temperatures of 4,400 C, which is nearly as hot as the sun in the surrounding water.
So yeah, mantis shrimps are kind of goat.
I saw someone like give weird animal facts, which is where I got the idea of like wanting to talk about mantis shrimps. And he's just like, this is God on LSD, just going, you know what would be fucking rad?
No, that's basically what it is. Like the coolest animal is just adorable little shrimp guy. God, I saw like a fucking. I think it was like a nature documentary. It was like a little clip on YouTube. It was like an octopus trying to fight a mantis shrimp, thinking, "Oh, hey, look at this little shrimp! I'm gonna just fucking eat him." And he's like, "Bitch, I'm just sitting here in my hole. Don't you chilling. Come even? I'm just chilling. You come in here. You about to catch these hands? Oh, what? I got like 8. Yeah, I got 1, and it's got your name on it.
My house. This is my house."
He punched him so hard, I think he actually punched off a tentacle from the octopus, and I'm like, that's some anime shit. I love it.
I first got introduced to mantis shrimps through that. Did you ever read or watch Terraform Mars?
I have not, but that sounds cool.
But I think maybe I brought it up in one of the earlier podcasts, but it's not very good. But so it's one of those things where ultimately it's not very good. It's actually kind of dog shit. But there are certain elements of it that's the coolest thing ever. So the whole thing is that they just like everyone they go to Mars. Don't ask me why. They go to Mars and all the soldiers there have the ability to infuse themselves with the cells of an animal or an insect or something. And then the cool part comes from them like taking these attributes from an animal and then dial it up to 11. And so they have this ex-boxer having a fight, and he's been infused with the mantis shrimp.
Oh, that guy's just basically Jesus now.
Yeah, no, there's actually a different dude who is basically Jesus, but
oh, okay.
because like he's also his birthday is on the 24th of December, and he dies for his crewmates and so on. Anyway, so the dude with the mantis shrimp powers is like, obviously the whole thing then becomes, we're gonna take the strength of a mantis shrimp and we're gonna dial it up to 11 to fit the size of a normal human. So he fights this one dude, and at one point he finally gets a punch off, because like this dude is just like, he's super fast. So he finally gets a hit in. And the cool thing is that at first it's just like this big fucking explosion when he punches the dude. And then the turbulence from the sheer force of the punch hits, and that's what throws the dude back into the wall. It's just like, that is so fucking dumb cool. I love it.
Like, what I was expecting, if you dial up a mantis shrimp's punch up to 11, you just blow, like, you get one hit off, and you just, that your arm's just gone now. Yeah. You're basically just asking to be Saitama at that point.
Yeah, basically. But it, like, again, I think the reason why I feel like we talked about Terraformars before, but the reason why we probably did that is due to how poorly it was censored. Because they would just basically, like, at one point the enemy rips off the head of someone, and they're just standing with a fucking ball in their hand, like a black ball.
Yeah.
Because they had to censor the head.
I remember that. I remember us talking about that, the fucking cockroach man and that whole big ball.
Yeah, exactly.
That silly bullshit.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen it yet. I still haven't done a lot of things, but
it's again, it's not very good, but there are certain parts of it that's the hype shit ever.
I can believe that.
Also, the art is great.
Oh yeah. I remember the whole controversy going around, and I'm like, the shading's really good, but the big cockroach man. Oh
yeah.
But like the only reason I remember mantis shrimps and like their offshoots, well, not really offshoots, but like their competitors or rivals, pistol shrimps, because I watch Tier Zoo a lot, and it's just like it's basically just a bunch of cool animal facts set with like fighting game terminology. It's great.
What's the frame data on a pistol shrimp?
It's bullshit. They snap their claws and they emit a shockwave so fast to concuss people or possibly pierce them if they're close enough.
What
Look up pistol shrimps. They're fucking cool.
How hot is the pistol shrimp? The internal low pressure causes water pulse that immobilizes prey with an associated noise of 218 decibel, which is louder than a bullet, and reportedly a temperature of 4,800 degrees centigrade, which is similar to the surface temperature of the sun, albeit over a very small area. Okay, so basically, I think at this point we can confirm that we need to nerf mantis and pistol shrimps.
No, what we need to do is we need to give them the ability to survive and grow to human size on land so they can become the dominant species. Because that's fucking rad.
I think that's okay, imagine, if you would, that mantis and pistol shrimps evolved into being like walking on 2 feet and just coming up on land, and you cannot communicate with it. I think that would be like a horror movie, just waiting to happen. Like there's that one scene in Friday the 13th where Jason goes to New York, where there's like this boxer who's like, "Yeah, man, you're about to get these hands," and Jason just punches his head clean off. I feel like that would be a reality with this.
Oh yeah, definitely. But it'd also be. But could you imagine eating one of those things? It'd be
I don't know if that would be delicious or disgusting.
I imagine it'd be like any kind of shellfish, just more of it. It'd be like if you had if you ate a shrimp like you would eat a lobster, is what I would imagine.
Okay, have you ever gone to a really fancy restaurant and gotten a lobster?
You go ahead.
Where you get tools to do it, like tools you had never seen in your life before?
I mean, I live in New England. Like, lobsters run in my veins. So
You know what? So, my best friend, his dad is a accountant, and so he has never been short of any type of money. And so one time I was hanging out with my friend, and his dad goes, "Hey, we're going over to one of my friends, and we're having lobster. Lasse, you're coming with." Okay, so I go there, and it's this fucking condo near the fucking beach. It's like the fucking $10 trillion mansion kind of fucking thing. And so they serve us these giant lobsters, and I just get tools that I have never seen before. Like, you get a special little fork thingy that you use to scoop out the meat of the claws or something.
Yep. They go right to the little thingies at the when you like break open the claw. You use a little fork to like pick and dig it out. That's if you want to. That's if you want to be civilized. I will be straight up. Whenever I get a lobster in front of me, I just bite through the shell and spit out the shell, and I just suck out the meat.
So you're doing the real old school one where you just like slurp that shit out with your mouth.
Basically, it's because, like, listen, like, you know, it's cool if you're in a really fine dining environment, if you want to be fancy and have fun with the tiny forks, but I'm just like, yo, I paid for this. This is fucking mine, and I'm gonna just bite. What is chitin? What is like lobster armor, but like fragile glass against my hands?
It's basically the plastic wrapping around a Kinder egg.
Basically. But anyway, go ahead.
I just remember, like, I was so out of my depth there. Like, I had no idea how the hell to eat this goddamn thing. I felt like such a... Like, I was well into my teens at this point. I was like, can you cut it out for me? Because, like, I had no fucking idea. And my friend and his little brother and everyone around them were just like, oh, you just crack here, snap there, cut there. And all of a sudden you got all this meat. And I'm just like, I can take off the tail. That's about it.
I'm gonna be honest. I always love like arms and claws when it comes to eating lobster, but like those are my favorite. But that's also because like I don't have to worry about like cleaning the intestines, because nothing ruins your day more than an unwashed lobster. That's like my one thing I don't like about like shellfish.
My dad has my stepdad has a friend who is a fisherman. And so we ate at his place at one point, and because he's a fisherman, no one knows more about how to cook fish than a fisherman. And so what he did was that he marinated the lobster in like some kind of garlic oil thingy, and then grilled it to the point where you could eat it with the shell. Like the shell was so
soft,
crispy, and both soft and crispy. So it's like it had that crunch, but not like not the durability that you know. You could chew right through it like a chip or something like that. That is the best shellfish I've ever had.
I may be remembering this wrong. Because, like, it's been so long since I took, like, biochemistry, but, like, isn't, like, chitin basically some weird offshoot of sugar or some shit?
I don't know.
I'm trying to, remember this.
I surprisingly, I found that I know a surprising lot about human biology more than, to the point where I'm like, is this not common sense? But when it comes to animal biology or even fucking like food, I don't fucking know anything. Like today at lunch at work, we were like, hey, you think like can you like cool this chicken down and have it on some toast tomorrow? And everyone was like, yeah, I don't know, maybe. Hold on, let me Google it. And I was just like, is it not just like do that? And no, apparently you have to you have to cook it over a certain degree to make sure that all the bacteria is gone from it, and then it's cool to cool it down. But I was just like, well, why is this such a big issue? So that's me being a dumb idiot at the age of 32. It's a wonder I'm not dead yet.
You know, it's one of those things where you just sit back and just like... Food is a weird thing. Like, the one thing I learned is, like, you can... Like, chicken is one of those, like, weird foods where that's, like, you gotta cook it really good because it's one of those foods that's, like, really easy to, like, be, like, a breeding ground for bacteria. But, like, things like pork and beef, you can kind of get away with making it, like, rare, kind of pink in the middle. Like pork, it's just on the cusp of dangerous, but you'll be fine. Whereas, like, meat, you can kind of, like... I've seen somebody eat, like, ground beef raw, and I'm like, I wouldn't do that, but you know what? Okay. But, like,
isn't there, like, tartare or something?
Yes. That's like steak tartare, and, like, that you do actually have to eat, like, raw, kind of like sushi. But, like, fucking ground beef from, like, a store, that's something I wouldn't do, because, like, yeah. But I've seen people do it, and I'm like, okay. Also, I did Google it. Like, chitin is apparently a offshoot derivative of glucose, and glucose being sugar. So yeah, no. Lobster shells are made of chitin, proteins, calcium, a bunch of other bullshit. So yeah, I can believe eating a lobster shell if you cook it hard enough.
Yeah, we'll learn something new every day.
Oh God. I should like sit down and like do some studies on like biochemistry because that was fun. It was like it was more math than it was like remembering shit for me. So maybe that's why I liked it. But anyway,
I was about to ask, like, how the hell is math fun?
I don't know how to like explain it, but like. I've told this, like, several times in the Webcomic Relief Discord server, but, like, I hate English very much so, to the point where I will go through hoops to avoid, like, writing a single research paper, term paper, or, like, thesis paper. I would actually, in high school, the way it works is, like, there's, like, college prep, there's honors, and there's AP level classes. And the way every time somebody had to do like a thesis paper, once like college prep would do it for the first term, honors would do it for the second term, and then like AP classes would do it on the third term. So what I would do, I don't know how the fuck they let me do this, but I would jump between you're supposed to stay in one of those three ranks for the entire year. I keep jumping up and down those ranks between honors, AP, and college prep constantly throughout the year to avoid doing a research paper, and they just let me do it.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So I essentially went through my entire college career going between I'm a super genius at like English to like I don't know what an apple is. And they just let me go back and forth for the entirety of my high school career, and I never had to do a single English paper.
Okay. So now that we're outing ourselves in fucking school, I have a fucking story for you.
Okay.
So when I was in college, I studied French. And I cannot for the life of me speak French. And at the time, I was more interested in girls, partying, and drinks.
Okay.
And so not a whole lot of time was being spent on studying. So it was very much my own fault for not like learning. And so this was before not before. This was like during the emergence of Google Translate and it, actually being worth a fuck. Because for the longest time it was like very, very, very broken sentences, like there wasn't proper grammar or anything like that. Yep. And so when I came to the French exam, like the written French exam, and I don't know how it is for you guys, but for us, we had to bring our computers into like a gym where they had filled the place up with tables, and you then put it down, and then you have to write the thing and then print it out. Very dumb, but you know, that was the style at the time.
I can like think of like 3 avenues of cheating just by that description. So go ahead.
Yeah, but so they thought they were big fucking clever because they were like, no internet, so you can't use Google Translate. And so they thought like they were hot shit, but I was hot as shit. Because what I did was that I had my laptop and I just downloaded a program onto the thing that could translate. Not as good as Google Translate, but it was gonna get me where I needed to go.
Yeah.
And so I used that for my exam, and I remember my teacher was like, "How the fuck did you do this? Because this is pretty fucking good French, and you're fucking ass." And sure enough, I passed the flying colors, but I cheated the fuck out of that exam.
That's beautiful. Go ahead.
It's kind of weird. So again, seeing that we're currently outing ourselves, I damn near didn't pass college because, as I said at the time, I was focusing on everything but studying. And this was also during the time where I had just started the Webcast Relief. So like that was taking much more of my time and focus. So I had this problem when I was going to college where I couldn't wake up in the morning. Like every time that I heard my alarm, I would just like turn it off and then I would sleep until the next one, which always meant that I would skip the first classes. And the way that it works with college in Denmark is that you're in charge of showing up more or less until like a certain percentage of absence. So if like you miss a day or two or something, who gives a fuck? We're not gonna check it. But if we can see a like returning pattern that you fail to show up, there's gonna be repercussions. And so I ended up having to go up to one of the repercussions for not showing up is that you have to go up to the exam of every type of class that you have, because you have not attended classes enough for them to give you like a grade on how well you've been doing during those classes.
Oh God.
And so I had to do that, but I couldn't tell my family that I had skipped out on so many classes. So I would sneak out up to school to do these things, and do these exams. I remember my geography class was super early in the morning, so I had to like sneak out of my fucking bedroom window, which was on the second floor, to get to my bike and then like ride to school and then get back. But then I realized, like looking at the time, like, oh, my mom is probably up by now. So I had a fucking genius plan. I went to the local bakery and I bought a loaf of bread. and then when I came home, and sure enough, my mom was up. She's like, "What are you doing up so early?" And I was like, "Oh, you're up? I wanted to surprise you with some freshly baked bread."
Aww.
And she's like, "That's so nice of you." And she wasn't any the wiser. But the point of this story here was that I was actually so fucking close to not like graduating because. God. My grades were shit. The only reason why I managed to pass is that I'm a fucking fiend at English. And so I passed with the highest grades possible in my English classes because I started correcting both the teacher and the I don't know how it is in America, but in Denmark you have a teacher and then you have like someone who comes from a different school, so there's no bias. And I managed to correct both of them in their English grammar, and they were like, "Well, you can't do better than fucking that." So that took my my average and pumped that shit way up. And that was enough for me to pass. But if it hadn't been for that, I would not have passed college.
God, that is like the opposite like thing for me, because English was my downfall my first run in college. Okay, backtrack a little bit for me.
Yeah.
Because like I relate with this so fucking hard. The reason why like math works for me is because like even though like a lot the way people teach math is bullshit. Because they don't want you to get the right answer. They want you to get the answer their way. But I was like fortunate enough to have like a teacher who was like, you know what? These books are bullshit. I actually understand math. Here are all the ways you can go about it. As long as you can prove the answer is right, get it. I don't give a fuck how. And because of that, I could like you kind of tend to see like math is basically the way we understand it, just a bunch of like formulas and functions and shit that like we put into a machine and the things go out, and it's always like a very repetitive. You're always gonna get the same thing, everything you put in. And it's the same thing with like programming. It is a very predictable kind of fucking thing. So that's like easy for me when I can think about it like that. English was my fucking heinous bullshit because it's never how I interpret it. It's always how the teacher wanted to be consistently. I always had to have a teacher who was like, the curtains are red because I think it believes this. Now you have to justify why I think of it like that.
Oh, God.
And that's been like my constant, like, that's been my experience with English. It's always, I have to appeal to like the way my teacher thinks. And it's always been like that consistently. When I went through my first stint of college, I got fucked big time because I got put into the wrong section. I wanted to be computer science, and then they put me in computer engineering. Those are two completely different subjects. One's actually programming, the other one's actually building the thing with like circuit boards and bullshit. Anyway.
And which one was it that you wanted?
I wanted to do programming as a computer science. Because at the time, they offered a double major in computer science and computer animation, which was the only reason I went to that school. And even then, when I went, that program got discontinued.
So you wanted to do the one where, like, the programming and not the one where you built the computer?
Exactly.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. So basically, I went to a college and they lied to me. But anyway, 2 trimesters into the thing, they tell me that I'm not allowed to switch and take any of the classes I want to after spending like $50,000 for already. And they told me, you know what we can do? We can make it so you take your entire career's worth of English credits in this one trimester so you never have to do it ever again. And that sounds good to me because I'm dumb child Cloudy. And I don't really process into my head how stupid of a suggestion that is. Because they put me into like English 1, 2, and 3 simultaneously so I can get the credits, as well as psychology, as well as philosophy. So I'm taking all of those classes simultaneously throughout the day, and not only like is that hard to do, it's hard to even make it to the classes because like sometimes they will like overlap against each other, so I'd have to leave mid-class and go to another one. Like, even though I was in the wrong section, I had, like, a really good grade point average just because everything's all math. I had, like, a 3.5, like, which is, like, basically, like, mid-A level.
Okay. Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. Then I go back, and, like, I do all these English classes. My grades drop down to, like, a 1.7. So I went from, like, super good passing to super big failing so hard, like you need a 2.0 average just to stay at the college. So after like towards the end of it, I end up like getting ejected from the school because my grades were so low.
Damn.
So English was always my downfall, and you know that issue about fucking trying to appeal to the teacher's sensibilities. That's like super heightened when you go to college in America, because this is probably just my thing. Maybe I just have the worst luck in the world because I've had the worst English teachers in history consistently. But every single teacher I went to had so much fucking ego about how they want things to be interpreted, how they want it their way. I was crossing signals trying to please one teacher. I do my best on this really good interpretation, but it's like I forgot who was teaching the class, and I gave it to the teachers like, oh, this is really well worded, but this isn't correct. So they failed the paper on me anyway.
So it's one of those things where mission fails successfully.
Basically, yeah. But yeah, I end up like, and that's where I kind of got that thing where I've been working like a decade to pay off a $50,000 debt for 1 year of college for credits that are untransferable, might I add.
Oh god.
Yeah, so that was my shit. And then when I went back to I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna get my associate's degree and do something. I had one English class I had to take, and thankfully it was the teacher was kind enough that like she understood my situation, and I just ended up not doing a thesis paper on that just because I just didn't have the ability to. But I was just so charismatic, she let me. So God bless her. But but then like I had all these math classes and all these programming classes, and Lasse, I cannot stress this enough. They made me take remedial classes despite the fact I had the credits for them. And they essentially, when they made me do that, they were just trying to squeeze the money out of me, because I was like the teacher's aide for the majority of those classes, unpaid, because I already knew the material front to back.
Oh.
But you know what? Everyone was skeptical of me. It's like, oh, this Cloudy has like a 1.7 grade average. He's stupid. I end up like getting 4th highest in my like entire degree. Like
that's
at the college.
That's like when you just moonwalk out of the room with flipping the bird.
I did that when I like quit my deli job at Market Basket. Because fuck them.
Nice.
Yeah, math comes weirdly naturally to me, and I can't really explain why, other than it's easy to put together, I guess. When I'm not trying to appeal to somebody's ego, because I'm bad at that. But if you just give me like a solid problem, it's just something I can just put together. English is so fucking hard, man, when I'm not allowed to be creative.
I'm sure that you know, but for anyone who doesn't, when I went to college, it was for language and psychology, and so despite of that, our first year of college, which is 3 years, was we had to have math, and I actually like. I think it's boring when it gets like up like super advanced, but I love math because it has strict rules. Like the rules are like this and will never change no matter what. Whereas language, it's like it is there are these rules for grammar until there isn't. Why isn't there? Who knows? Is there a thing called a money? No. But there is something called the money. We're like, okay. But the thing that you were bringing up earlier about like you can come up with a solution, but it has to be in the way that the teacher wants it.
Yeah.
So I when I was younger, I struggled with percentage because that had. When I used to learn about percentage calculations, I was my teacher was at the mental institute because she had gone insane. So there's a whole like 75% of a school year that I haven't had when it came to math, because because for some reason my school just didn't want to find a replacement. So I never really learned that. And so I was struggling a lot. And then once I had passed the first year and we weren't going to have math anymore, I remember we were having like a graduation party at the college where I bumped into my math teacher, and he was drunk as shit. And then I remember I was getting a beer and like talking to him about like, hey man, thank you for everything this year, and I learned a lot. He fucking leans in and he kind of like whispers under his breath, percentages are reversible. And then he peaced out. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? And then I found out. and it fucking pisses me off. Because what is 50% of 14? Easy. 7%.
Yeah.
But what is 14% of 50? I don't fucking know. I will tell you. It's 7%. Because that shit is reversible. If I hadn't fucking known that, shit would be fucking easier.
Don't you love math? It's just a black box.
I spent so fucking long bending over backwards over a fucking calculator trying to figure this shit out. And it's that fucking easy.
They're just fractions at the end of the day.
Fuck fractions.
You could just move the numbers around and you're gonna get the same shit.
I'm so fucking pissed at that teacher now. But then again,
he did explain it. He did tell you.
He did tell me after I graduated. But to his credit, he also had reasons to take the piss out of me. Because at one time during math class, I had said out loud, louder than I thought it was, I want to shit this guy in the mouth. Because like not the teacher, but some dude we were talking about. Oh, and it was so loud that everyone in the class just stopped what they were doing and looking at me like, no, it's because it's not a sexual thing, it's because he's a cunt. Like, that's not the problem, Lasse. It's because you even said that mid-class. I'm like, oh, right.
You ever just say something and you're like, oh no, that was supposed to be in a thought bubble.
Yeah, that was supposed to be my insight. Oh, I have the fucking worst case of that. So our biology teacher was a big lady. She was pretty fucking hefty. and there's nothing wrong with being, big. Some people are just, built that way. But the thing about her was that she kept talking about how she wanted to lose weight. And then she would still stuff her fucking face with the fattest food she could get her hands on all the fucking time. Yeah. And so at one point, she had to get the projector turned on because she had to show something on the whiteboard. Mm-hmm. And so, and she was a person who liked to be like, I'm so funny, even though she wasn't. And then at one point, she, when she had to start this projector, she was going, and now I have to get up and turn this thing on. And again, this was supposed to be an inside voice, but it turned into a outside voice and became, yeah, God forbid you got some exercise, you fat cunt. That's the day that I found out that the principal at my college was actually a black belt that was attending the karate team that I had started the week after.
Oh, boy.
Not proud of that, but I will also say I ended up like reaching out to her and be like, hey, yeah, that was not me. Like, I'm so fucking sorry.
That's if our lives are all just comics by God, like he comes to you meaning to put thought bubbles, but he always draws it as speech bubbles for some fucking reason.
Yeah.
Oh, I am sorry. That's awful.
But, dude, the fucking teachers at my college were fucking wild, bro. My French teacher, after graduation, there's always the graduation party, and for the most part, the teachers are allowed to attend. And so for when I finally like finished college, we had like this graduation party, and my friend's teacher came over to me, and she was drunk off her fucking tits, and she's like, "Hey, you sucked at French." I was like, "Yeah, I know." And she's like, "But I really enjoyed having you in my class." I'm like, "Hey, yeah, you were a great teacher too." And then she like leans in like, "I could teach you a lot about French." Now, I made it no secret. I'm into not mature women. Not her. So that was a negative from me. Another one was fucking history teacher. He so again, I don't know how it is in America, but in Denmark, one of the teachers that you have for one topic is going to be like in charge of your class.
Yeah.
Like as a whole. And so our history teacher was also like the class representative teacher who, every time, like, it's his job that everyone gets along in the class. And so at one point he has to grade us on our participation in history. And as I mentioned in my Like a Daisy video, I don't fucking care about history. I think it's the most boring shit ever. And then when it came to the grades, he was like, "Okay, yeah, Lasse, so you're getting an A." I'm like, "Huh? Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yeah, you don't know fuck all about history, but you're the guy who makes sure that everyone gets along in class. You're the funny guy. You lift the mood. And if you continue to do that, I'm going to continue to give you good grades." You know what? Fair enough.
Man, I wish I could get by on like social standing like that. That's actually pretty cool. And that's pretty honest, honestly.
A little too honest for my liking. Like, "Oh yeah, Lasse, you're fucking ass."
But you're cool though.
Yeah.
So take this A. Like, God, I'm like the complete opposite with you. Like, my entire experience with college was like, I treated it like a job. It was just, let's get this fucking bread at this point. I had no friends. The only connection I made was like my Cisco prep teacher. And the only reason we ended up bonding was because he had a little Raspberry Pi, which he had put like an emulator on it. So we kind of would spend time playing like Final Fight and Double Dragon.
Yeah.
Like during class. And it's fucking awesome. And we were like talking about, "Hey man, you know what would be fucking cool if I'm like planning to get this grant money and I'm gonna buy some fucking VR headsets. I'm planning on making like a whole class around it, but really it's just so I can get like money from the college to play with these toys." And I'm like, "Man, that's cool. You should do that. That's so like if you need any help, if you need like a teacher's aid, fucking just hit me up." And it's like, yeah. So we end up like cleaning out the fucking like all like the equipment and like end up selling it off, and then we have enough money for the VR headsets, and he like shows me this program and like how like, "Hey, these are gonna make lessons planned, like help me come up with topics so I can bullshit my way to make this a class."
Yeah.
But like aside from like that one teacher, the entire time I was like as antisocial as you could get. Like I would just fucking I'm just there to do my job, get my work done, and that was fucking it. And I just really did not want to be there, and I think everyone could tell that too. Cause fucking, it was a pain in the ass. I did not have the luxury to be, to like, have fun at the college, because I'm already saddled with a $50,000 debt from a college campus that stole the money from me and like fucked me up to begin with. Actually, about that one last college, I want to tell you, I know I told this story before on like charity streams, But like I think like my best memory, walking home like from like after studying until like 2 a.m. in the morning, and this guy comes up to me, and like with like hood like trying to like pedals like, hey man, do you want some Coke? And he like pulls out like a little like plastic baggie, and it looks like fucking laundry detergent, and I'm like out of my mind. I'm exhausted. Like, sure, I don't fucking care. Like, how much is it? I'll give you this whole bag for $200. And I'm like, it takes me a minute to process. And I start cussing the guy out really loud in English and in Spanish, talking like, you're gonna ask me, Mr. Broke-ass motherfucker, to pay $200 for drugs. I am eating water from the fucking water fountain for lunch 7 days a week because I can't afford a noodle. And you're coming to me asking for $200, eat a fucking dick. I think it got so loud, like a security guard was standing out and he was walking towards us, and the guy fucking like pieced the fuck out.
Oh no, really?
I love it. Listen, like I was just so out of my mind. I was so exhausted. Like, you're gonna take money from me after this college already took money? Fuck off, man. I should have took that fucking Coke though.
I've dealt with worse thieves than you.
They're not even a thief. I just like told them off because I was just so fucking tired of this shit. But oh man. College is a thing, man. I wish I had a better experience, but I feel like I can assume like everyone's experience is not mine. I feel like I just got a really bad luck of the draw. So just because I hate college, maybe you won't. To people who are listening. Go get your edumacation. Maybe you won't get, like, stabbed in the pants like I did. But you know what's fine? Like, after I got my associate's degree, I ended up getting, like, one job where I didn't even need the degree to begin with. But they let me in because I had it. And I ended up paying off all of my student loans thanks to that one job. So that was good. That was gratifying. I was in a coma for, like, a couple months afterwards, but it was worth it.
Yeah, I think we've talked about that before, where we were just like, where the fuck is Cloudy? Oh, he's hibernating. Oh, okay.
he's in his Odin sleep. It's fine.
But yeah, it's kind of wild how different you and me were. Like, you were you were putting in that hustle when you were studying and were like focusing on that rather than the people in your class or whatever the fuck. I was the complete opposite. I could not care less about psychology I fucking loved, but I could not care less about the classes. What I really loved was just like the people within it, which I think also is like I really found myself in college because I came, before that I was at the school where I got bullied. So I was just like, you know what? This is the time where we reinvent the wheel, where we reinvent Lasse. And so I just decided, hey, you know what? I'm gonna be the best me that I can fucking be. And it turned out to work. So that was a good move on my part.
I'm glad you did, honestly. Like, honestly, coming out of it, like, you came out like a better person in general. I feel no, not really. Like, okay, how do I put this? You seem like way more sure of yourself and confident and well-rounded in general. I feel like you don't see yourself as like a caricature, which is like indicative of somebody who has to put on, who's like for like performers who have to like put on like a mask to like show the public. You feel a lot more like, maybe not genuine is not the right word. I'm trying to like find this. My English vocabulary is ass, but it's like you feel more comfortable as yourself is what I'm trying to say since like coming out and getting your degree and all that. And I'm really proud to see that.
Thank you. But that was university.
Fair.
And when I was there, I did what you also did, which was just hunker down, focus on the education, fuck the rest.
Okay, fair enough.
But I think I don't actually know if I told the story before, but like the reason why I think you and I, and maybe also Zach and Hayden, have had this discussion where it was like I had to do something because I was having this kind of identity crisis where people were seeing me as Riiser. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to be Riiser because Riiser is his own, like he's me but dialed up to 11. Yeah. And I realized like when I was hanging out with my ex-girlfriend and she would like ask for criticism on her art or something, for the like 80% of the time I would answer it like me and be like, yeah, it's fine. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you like change a little hair, but other than that, it's fine. And then the last 20% would be Riiser. And Riiser is the kind of guy who would fucking like, this looks fucking retarded. What the hell are you doing? Like cussing out, being like overly aggressive when there's really no need and all this stuff. And I came to realize like how much that actually like hurt the people I was around. Like not just her, but I remember her specifically because she was the one who was like, you're kind of like Riiser sometimes shows up and you need to like, that's not who I want to talk with. I want to talk with you. And I also kind of found out that like when I was in calls or something with people, I'm not so much in calls anymore, but when I was like hanging out in calls with people from the Discord or whatever, I would have to kind of like, and again, it wasn't a conscious decision, but I would sometimes like put on this Riiser persona where it's like, hey, fuck you, la la la, like high energy, like I was almost acting where like I'm still like a very like, energetic and positive guy, but there's still a vast difference between me and Riiser. And so like that's why like, because you also addressed me as Riiser for the longest time, and as time has gone on you have started addressing me as Lasse instead, which I'm really thankful for. And that's also why like my name on Discord is Lasse parentheses Riiser, because I'm not gonna play the Riiser role all the time. It's exhausting, and that's not me. That's not who I am, and that's not what I stand for. And it's nice that I can, every now and then, dig out Riiser for certain events. Like when I had to do the speech for my sister's wedding, I dug out Riiser to put on this cocksure, confident, funny, charismatic guy. And then once it was over, I tugged Riiser back again, and I was the calm, quiet, and friendly me that I am. And so people need to realize that Riiser is absolutely 100% a persona, and it took me ages to figure that out because when I was just started doing YouTube, Riiser was me. Like that was me during my college years. That was 100% me, and then he kind of like took his own like a life of his own, and I wasn't conscious about that change until like it was pointed out to me. So I'm happy now that I can be more myself. I think it's like a Danish term, but I can rest more within myself. Like I can be happy and content with who I am rather than put on a role.
No, that's a sentiment that makes a lot of sense. So like I can get that a lot.
Yeah.
The thing with go ahead.
Go on. No, you go.
No, I was kind of like gonna jump on that topic as well, because I think it's interesting. Me and Emily like go into calls on the Webcast Reliefs like a lot, mainly just to like shoot the shit, mainly because it's good background noise for the people who can do it. Quick tangent. I fucking wish I can work during calls, but I can't because like ADHD is bullshit. But like. You can definitely see this atmosphere with a lot of people who want to have someone they can look up to and find like advice or be like they're basically their Google, their essential Google for like instant advice for when you need it, because they think of you as a trusted source. Even if you don't see yourself as that, you kind of have that like not air of authority, but like people just look up to you. That's it.
If there's one thing I don't have, it's a fucking air of authority.
But no, I think there's like a thing where whether you are Riiser or not Riiser, they still look up to you as like someone whose opinions are really good when it comes to this subject matter. You have a whole show dedicated around it. And I know it's because you do make it the show with the intent of actually trying to help people, which is amazing. But like you also have like the people who will come up to you and ask you for things, for the ideas, like, hey man, what is this? Like, here's my story. Is it a good idea? Or what's like, how do I improve so and so? And it's like when people look up to you as like your opinions matter on this thing, it can feel really exhausting. That you just want to be there to hang out, shoot the shit, but then they don't see you as you. They see you as like what your advice can provide.
Yeah.
And quick tangent again, because I can't fucking keep my ideas straight. For people who want to look for advice who are listening to this, I'm going to give you the best advice right now. Do not ask anybody if this is okay. And I don't mean like asking for like approval or asking for like, or like asking if something's like, it's going to get you canceled or whatever. When I say if this is okay, don't ask somebody if this is a good idea. Because I can guarantee you, from the bottom of my heart, whenever you ask that question, you are wasting everyone's time, especially your own. Because, like aside from like that one guy who was asking about like, is hypnosis rape on the server, which was fucking weird. God, yeah. Aside from like that, which should be like inherently obvious, where if you have to ask that question and you don't automatically know it's a bad idea, there's something wrong with you specifically. Aside from like that extreme case, every idea you ask, we're not going to know if it's a good idea until it's in front of us. Until we cannot think of an idea as inherently good or bad until we see how it's executed. Because, like, just off the top of my head, One Punch Man. A story where a guy who beats everything with one single punch. You think, like, you just say it like that premise sounds so fucking boring. It's like the height of unoriginality, uncreativity, and then you actually read it, and it's like, why is this shit good? Why do I feel so bad for Zatanna. I want him to have a win that matters. And it's like weird, and you see that, and then like besides that, there's like all this other shit surrounding it. If you just say an idea or just come up with like an elevator pitch, you're not going to get an indication of how good or bad something is.
No.
It needs to be fucking out there. And I know people have this idea when it comes to making their work. They just want to come up with ideas and sell it off and have their like creations made, and they think that's just how it works. That's especially big in like the animation industry. They think it's just, I have an idea, let's just make it happen. And it's never that fucking easy. Something's good because somebody made it good. This comes up a lot in the calls, like a Vivzy Pop shit, like Hell of a Boss and Has Been Hotel. I only started watching Hell of a Boss because I watched it with like a friend during like a Discord call, and like that shit's good, I guess, but it's fun to watch. I don't care one way or the other. And people either have this weird, like, they have this weird fucking mentality surrounding that show because it's like something made on the internet. They either shit on it specifically because it's not on a major cable program, or they like think it's so fucking easy to do just because it's on the internet. The shit to get this thing together is crazy. Like, there's a lot of work to put into it. Like, there was a time where they actually, like, put out episodes monthly. The show's quality ended up getting worse and worse. And then they had, like, a whole hiatus for, like, a couple months. And then they came up with a new episode. And suddenly it's the best fucking thing anyone's ever seen. Because they had the time to put into it to make it good. I genuinely think that when you like, boil down an idea to good or bad, is such a disservice to everyone, especially the person asking that question, because you're missing the fucking point half the time. I think whenever you ask for advice and whenever you try to seek out advice from somebody you like admire, ask them to help you constructively. Ask for criticism that's going to help you advance. Because if you're just seeking out validation, you are doing a disservice to everyone, especially you. Because you're just, all that time you're seeking out, trying to get head pats, you're kind of just like, you couldn't be working, bro. You could be getting this bread. Sorry, that's just something I had to get off after like a lot of calls where like the idea is good, just fucking do it. You know.
I will also say like a tag on to that, and that is ask for suggestions or advice or something. Don't fucking try and be cute about it or not.
Oh yeah.
Or not even like doing that. So I'm gonna put this person on blast. I'm not gonna name any names, but there's this person who for almost half a year straight at this point has, with random intervals, not written anything to me, just sent me pieces of art that they've been working on. They don't say hi, they have never asked how I'm doing, and they don't go, hey, can you, like, hey, what do you think I could improve about this? All they do is that they send me this piece of work and nothing else. And I know what they want. They want me to, give feedback. But I'm not a fucking machine. Say hi, ask for criticism, do anything more than just post stuff. And along with that, there's also, don't try and be cute about it. It's no one is ever confused when you're doing that shit. If you want criticism, ask for criticism or feedback or anything. Don't be like, oh, my art is so bad. And then hope that someone is going to be like, no, what are you talking about? It's great. Fuck you. No one fucking buys that shit. Everyone and their mom knows that when you start like posting something and go like, oh, this is bad. Everyone knows that what you really just want is someone to go, no. If you want feedback, ask for feedback. Don't just like, hey, you want to see this thing that... Okay, gotta put another person on blast. Cloudy, you and I, we've been talking about this person a little bit. Don't post something and go, yeah, oh wow, isn't this horrible? And then keep posting it. Like, fucking own it, bro.
I agree, and it gets under my goddamn skin. It is... Oh, Lordy, listen, I understand you can have legitimate reasons to be like sad and like maybe you have low self-esteem, especially when it comes to your work. I get it. It's a very hard thing to do. At the same time, it is grossly obvious when you have people trying to fish for pity like that.
Yeah.
It's grating, it wastes everyone's time, and we know exactly what you're doing. It's so fucking transparent. When you go into a call and just go, I guess no one's listening to me anymore. Oh well, I made a thing, but I guess no one wants to see it.
You're fucking right. We don't when you're acting like that, you bitch.
Basically, yeah. Like, no, like, I will say this. I recently banned somebody from the server because they had this... They got drunk off this entitlement. Where they think that just because they're sad, they can get whatever they want. There was a point where they were like not only being horribly, I'm trying to find like a nice proper term.
Bigoted?
Bigoted, yes. They were being like bigoted towards like another of our members, thinking they had a right to it, while talking about their own sadness as if they outweighed them, despite them being a bigot to their fucking face. And when called out on it, it's like, that's just how this server is. And when I found that out, I got so fucking pissed. Because who the fuck do you think you are going in, getting sad and fishing for head pats, and you think that just because you think that's acceptable behavior? like there's a fine line between being cordial, being polite, and then just being a complete fucking asshole.
Absolutely.
And I hate that like attitude more than anything. Just cause like it's we will do our best to be supportive. We will do our best to give criticism when asked, but don't expect it as if it's like a right you deserve. Because like golden rule, treat other people the way you want to be treated. If you want to be a fucking dick, we gonna treat you like a fucking dick.
Yeah.
Like if you want to get better, show you want to get better. Be like, hey, I don't feel confident. You can say that. You can totally be unconfident, but then show it, and we will fucking praise you for it. Just try. Go ahead, Lasse.
No, I agree. If you want, it's one of the most common things in the art world to want to to get that boost. That head pat. So like if you feel like that's what you need, there's no shame in like going, hey, can anyone tell me what I did right in this thing? Because I could really use that boost or something like that. I don't think you're gonna find any artist or anyone whose opinion really matters who's gonna be like, lol, you're asking for positive feedback, what a loser. No one's like that. Well, there are people who are like that because they're edgy. But there are absolutely people like the people who really matters will absolutely like understand where you're coming from. It's just doing the whole thing, song and dance, where you're like, oh, no one likes me. Oh, my art is so trash. It is disingenuous, and like you say, Cloudy, it's wasting everyone's time. I will also say there's a time and place for everything. I remember there was one point where me and Bonsai, we were playing. But by the way, this is no criticism to the guy. It's like that dude didn't know, had no way of knowing. But me and Bonsai, we were playing Apex Legends, and all of a sudden this guy comes in. Nice guy, by the way. It comes in and is like, hey, yeah, remember in your Archmage review where you said the thing about a pentagram is actually this, and the reason why it's a pentagram is this, and I'm like, dude, I'm off the clock. Like, I'm playing a video game with my friend here. Like, like, please let me exist outside of my videos. Again, it was actually like really fascinating information that he gave me. And again, I have no negative thing to say about the guy. It's just that like there's a time and place for everything. If we're talking about, and I know that bigoted guy you were talking about earlier also would do this. Like if you're talking about like, oh hey, did you see that new Suicide Squad? Wow, it sure is a good movie. And then all of a sudden, hey, you want to see my art? And I'm like, we'll get to that. Like, bro, there's a time and place, and I understand that some people who are not usually communicating a lot with people through voice chat, maybe they're more used to communicating through text, don't really understand that, you know, the social norm of, hey, maybe shut the fuck up until it becomes your turn, or that this topic arises. Maybe do that. I don't know.
Like, common courtesy is like the best thing you can do to somebody. Just be like, hey, if it's all right, like at some point, can I talk about my thing? That's fine, but don't just like barge your way and shoehorn yourself into a conversation. It's rude. I do find that like weird and fascinating, like that explaining the pentagram thing, because when it's like cool offhand trivia. And they're not being like a complete dick about it, like, actually, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, if it's like that, like, I wouldn't mind so much. And I get, like, not wanting to be on the clock all the time. But it's like, God, when you're trying to, like, steer the conversation directly to you and just be like, it's...
I think the... sorry.
No, you go ahead, that's all.
I think, like, again, I don't recall, because, again, I was playing Apex. But I think I remember that the whole pentagram is that the star is symbolizing Jesus Christ as he's being crucified or something.
Yeah.
I am not entirely sure how, but that was the thing I was told, and when I was told, I remember it was pretty cool. Don't remember it though. But yeah, time and place for everything, and have some common courtesy. This, like, ultimately, when you actually think about it, when you ask for feedback, you're asking someone for a favor.
Mm.
And so if you ask for a favor by demanding it or by jamming it into someone's face, you wouldn't do that, would you? Mm-mm. Like, I'm not gonna fucking kick your door down and be like, hey man, do you want to help me change my tires on my car? Like, no! You ask, hey bro, I got some new tires for my car, you want to help fix it? Like, like,
exactly.
It's a request. It's not a fucking order.
It's like, Mom, get the fuck out of my room. I'm playing Minecraft.
Get the fuck out of here.
It's just, man. Just people, listen. Just be cool. Be cool. Everybody be cool. That's all. Everybody be cool. I don't know how we got here, because we started this conversation off with mantis shrimps.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's both the beauty and the curse of this podcast, is that the first 1 or 2 episodes we legit had like a structure to a thing, but that was because like we were trying to kind of copy off of Super Best Friends, where like, hey, we have a docket of topics that we need to cover, of things that has happened during the week. But now, as we've progressed, it has become more like, hey, we have this one topic that is sometimes pertaining to what has happened during the week, but ultimately it's just something that we want to discuss. We didn't have that for today.
Yeah, I think like, God, like, there's like world politics stuff going on, but like, I don't want to talk about that.
What I can talk about, actually, is why we are not streaming this today.
Oh yeah, that's a reason. We're an hour into the podcast and we haven't even talked about that.
Yeah, so, hi guys. In case you're wondering why we're not streaming it today, it's because we found out during the day that there's a blackout on Twitch today because people are protesting against Twitch due to there's a whole bunch of hate rates going on where bots are going to different channels and just spamming all sorts of slurs and profanities and all this shit, and it's coming from like 100 different sources. So people obviously reached out to Twitch, and Twitch's response was the most tone-deaf thing ever, as it always is, which was something like, just ban them or ban those words. Now, the problem is that, again, this is coming from like 100 different fucking bots that just like invade your stream and just starts spamming this shit. But also the things that they're spamming are like, like it's not all, like, for example, if you say noob, sometimes you do so where you replace the O's with zeros. Yeah. So it's like that where they're like replacing certain letters with certain symbols or something to get around this. And there was actually a engineer or something that made a script to test how many times you could get a word that looked like a slur, using just symbols and like different variations of letters and stuff. And just for this one word, he came up with 2.3 million results. So it's not just something that you can block, which is a huge issue. So that's why everyone and their mom who is a steady streamer or work on Twitch or whatever has decided that today to really just twist the balls on Twitch has decided to go, we're not going to stream today. And even though this is not an issue that we have had, neither on this podcast nor on my personal streams, it still felt wrong to then go ahead and stream when we instead can be like, you know what, actually we support the fact that we don't want hate rates like this to exist. So that's why we're not streaming it today.
It's good to do it in solidarity, and like, it still baffles me that like PogChamp got like changed because Gutex said something really fucking tone deaf or stupid or whatever. Dude, and, like, I don't even remember what happened.
It has something to do with the whole, like, I was about to call it siege. The whole thing where people, like, stormed the Capitol.
Yeah, that thing.
Where someone died.
Yeah.
But the thing about Gutex is that he's fucking crazy. Like, that one message that got him banned or whatever, that was... like it was very politically charged, so I think that's why like it had its like the effect that it had. But Gutex, ever since for those of you who don't know, Gutex is a former. I actually don't know if he's former. He still does some content for fighting games or whatever. But he used to be on the show with a guy called Mike Ross, where they would basically just like every week they would post up a video where they just sit down and take some online matches. And it was really great fun because him and Mike Ross were kind of like bouncing off of each other. But Mike Ross decided he wanted nothing more to do with fighting games because he was not happy with the way that things were going, with it turning too much into like esports and stuff, where it lost that ghetto feeling that we know from the arcades and stuff. So it ended up just being Gutex doing his own thing, and that quickly lost its charm. And Gutex decided... like when I found out about this was when he was starting to go off the deep end with this, where he was like, actually COVID is a conspiracy made by the government so that they can change the fucking batteries off of pigeons that they use to monitor the people who know, who actually know the truth that the earth is flat, so they can send the assassins to get them so they can throw them off the edge of the earth. Like, that was the amount of like the beginning of how crazy some of the shit that Gutex was honest to God believing in. And so like
it's good to finally have context on this. Oh my God,
dude, he was fucking wild. But yeah, there was a girl who was one of the people who were I'm trying to choose my... There's no meaning behind my choice of words here. It's just the best word I could come up with. But attack the Capitol. There was one of those who unfortunately died.
Oh yeah.
And Gutex was making something about that, and so that's why PogChamp got banned.
Okay, that makes sense now. I only heard all this by like third hand, so I had no idea what the hell was going on.
I don't recall what it was that he wrote, but I'm of the opinion that I think like the PogChamp was not him anymore. It was a symbol known on Twitch. So I'm sad that we don't get the PogChamp anymore. But you know, ultimately not my decision. But it's kind of weird how they can be so quick to change that. But the moment that we have fucking hate rates like this, it's like, just ban them.
Yeah.
Motherfucker, what?
Yeah, that was the thing I was trying to bring up. Like, that thing was handled within, like, less than a week. They had, like, weekly different changes for pod. They implemented different pods every week for, like, different casters and shit.
Dude, they were amending this while people were still cleaning up the fucking Capitol. Like...
Yeah. And I'm like, Go on. No, it's like, we almost got hate rated during our stream yesterday. Like, we were playing just D&D. there were this like we didn't notice this until like immediately, but like we had like 3 new follows, and we found out like the accounts were made 5 minutes prior to them following, and then our mod, who is also our fairy barbarian in the game, like quickly just banned all of them when he was like, no, we're not doing this today. But like we're like a small channel of like less than 100 followers, and like we only had 6 people watching at the time, and 4 of them were the party. And it's like, fucking fix your goddamn site.
I think I have only ever bumped into one cunt on Twitch. So I've been like, but I'm the type of person I can get along with most people. But I remember this guy. He came in, and I think I was playing Berserk, like that Muso game, like Dynasty Warriors kind of game.
Yeah.
And I was playing some music. This was before the whole like DMCA fucking takedown thing on Twitch. So I was like playing a bunch of different music, and he came in and we were like, man, your music taste sucks. They're like, yeah, okay, bro, it's not for everyone. And then he's like, no, man, but I work with music, so so I know that your music sucks.
That's like the worst fucking appeal to authority ever. Ben Shapiro did that when he said rap isn't music. My dad is in music. He knows better.
And at the time I was working in a nondescript video game company, and I was just like, yeah, I work with people, and I can tell that you're a cunt. It was so I wonder, I legitimately wonder who the fuck just decides I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna bitch. I know, I have my fucking entire show where it's like I'm gonna find this comic, and if it's ass, I'm gonna tear it to pieces. I get that there's some kind of hypocrisy here, but at the same time, it's like I'm trying to make that informative to help other people. But when the fuck do you where exactly is the enjoyment of going into someone's stream or video or what or art piece or something and just go, you're a bitch? Do you I even as a former bully victim, I can totally see, I don't agree with it, but I can totally see why people enjoy bullying, because sometimes you can make a good joke on someone else's expense, and that is very unfortunate. But I can get why people are doing that, because we are having fun. Your life is ass, but we're having fun. But going into someone and just say you're a bitch, or just insulting someone, is where is the enjoyment there? Where do you get that kick of endorphins or whatever that makes you happy? Where does that come from?
Comes from being a bitch, apparently.
Apparently.
Bro, I have to wonder when it's some people who would go into a server and be dedicating, be like, oh, you're all a bunch of simps and fools, and the thing you like is dumb. Debate me, bro. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, God.
I thought about that the other day, and I'm just like, what kind of balls do you have to do that? Do you think you're right? Do you think you're clever? You think, trying to tell people the thing they like sucks and they suck because they like thing is the most meaningless drivel you could ever come up with.
Imagine if I went into the fucking Kingdom Hearts Discord and was just like, all of you people are the most dumb people in the world because your video game is the poo-poo pee-pee bad game. What would that am I honestly thinking that me doing that is gonna make someone go, you know what? Actually, yeah.
I'm trying to go to the biggest extreme, but even then that doesn't work. So Imagine you find a pedophile server, then you join it, and you said, you all are bad people who kill yourselves. 2 things with that. 1, how'd you find a pedophile server? 2, why the fuck did you join it, and why are you not reporting it immediately? I guess that's 3. Because it's
easy.
like...
I went on Twitter.
And I went on Pornhub and checked if this tag was blocked.
No, I guess I'm at an like I wrote on Twitter the other week that I think I reached a point now where it's like I don't care. It's like, hey, like me going, hey, I actually don't like Final Fantasy VIII was okay at best. And then you have people go, actually, it's yada 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 yada, and like, I don't care. What? Yeah, you know what? Sure, it's the best game ever. Whatever. Mm-hmm. Like I've reached a point I don't fucking care. Who the fuck has time to discuss? Like, who the fuck has time to discuss shit like this? Hey, Metal Gear is the worst video game ever. You know what? Yeah, probably. Like, I don't care. I don't fucking care. I'm gonna enjoy it no matter what, but like, oh really? You don't like it? That sucks. Yes, you know what? It's fucking terrible. Like, I don't care. Again, this is gonna be the third time that I'm repeating this quote, but it's one that I have really started living by, and that is, I can barely fucking figure out my own life. How the fuck would I have the time to worry about others?
Exactly, and it all comes down to that. Like, you don't need to police somebody for liking a thing. No. Especially when it's like media, harmless media meant to sell product, or harmless media meant to tell a story. Just let them like their dumb shit. It's not that big of a deal, bro.
Like, I remember this especially came up when I was like, I don't like the death of Aerith in Final Fantasy VII. I think like a lot could have been done with the tools that were at hand at the time to make that scene better. I do understand why it had to happen, and I'm not opposed to the idea of Aerith dying. In fact, I think it's really cool. But it is what it is. And I got a lot of fucking shit for that. And it's like, who cares? Random guy online doesn't like this one part of a video game from 1997? Like, who cares?
I think it's just like really dumb mentality that like, as much as I hate the people who like come in and go on to bully, I think I can understand why they go in and say stupid shit, because there's this like mentality when someone has like something they really love, or like a piece of media that they grew up with, they become like attached to it to a point where it becomes like an identity. Like, this is kind of where like fandom culture comes in, and it's like why I try my best not to engage in any part of it. Because when you get to a point where you take like media, a story that isn't even your own, and you identify it so much that you hold it so close to you, it becomes a part of your identity of who you are. When someone attacks it, you have this like connection in your brain. It's like, they're attacking this thing. This means they're attacking you personally. Which it should never be like that. But like, whatever the circumstances that made you get to that should never be a thing. But like, you're always gonna have those people like, oh, let's make fun of these people who are deranged who like this thing so much. But they're the ones being like just as fucking sad because they're doing this whole inane bullshit, wasting everyone's time. When you could just so easily be like, okay, sure.
I remember there was a dude, and I would actually like to think that I was personal friends with this guy. I legit think he's incredibly cool. But there was a time where he joined the Discord, and he was very, very, very into Nier. And I obviously am not the biggest fan of Nier. That would be sad to say. But he was talking about, like, Nier Automata had come out at this point, and he was talking about how 2B's design in that game was really good, and I'm like, it is. And he's like, it's so much better than Quiet from Metal Gear Solid 5. And again, I have a lot of respect for this person. It's by no means an attack on this person, but you could tell with that specific comparison that this was the thing I like is better than the thing that you like. Like, it was targeted towards me. Like, why else would you make a fucking comparison with Quiet? Like, it's completely different games and universes and stuff like that. And I notice even more because, like, then the conversation continued to be like comparisons between Metal Gear and Nier Automata, and it's one of those things where, like, I don't think you're having the effect that you think you are having, because I have long since realized that the things that I like are not things that everyone is gonna like. Like, even I can go, who the fuck wants to play a video game where you sit for an hour and a half and watch a cutscene? Me, but I understand why other people wouldn't. But, like, you're not gonna hurt me by talking shit about the thing that I like, because I'm gonna like it anyway. And I realized that is not something that everyone has. Like you said, it becomes their identity. And I feel like as a reviewer, I have seen that a lot, especially with furry stuff. When it has come to furry stuff and weep stuff.
Yeah.
Those two specifically are like 99% the audience's personality. When I go and I talk shit about Andrew Dobson and his fucking comic, no one bats an eye. I am being heralded for, he did the good thing. He said the thing right. He dunked on the fat man who tells lies all the time. And I then make a fucking video about house pets. And people flip their fucking... And it's not even me going in. It's me going, this is fine. It's not the best thing in the world, but it's fine. And people lose their goddamn mind. I then go and review Tower of God, and we all know how that fucking went. I got a fucking Reddit mod on my shit. People lose their fucking mind. Why? Well, it's because either you like... I stand Korean stuff, or I identify with this crocodile who says turtle a lot, or actually I'm a furry, and if you don't like the furry stuff, then we're gonna fucking kill you. Which the only community I've gotten death threats from are the furries, and I think that's funny.
I remember the one guy who wanted to fly to Denmark, took a shit on you, or find your house and try to do a death threat, and I'm like, it was either Las Lindas or it was House.
I think it was Las Lindas.
God, people are wild, man.
Why? I'm talking shit about a comic. I have not mentioned any people or anything. I'm just talking about the comic. Maybe, not maybe. I definitely threw some insults at the creators' way, but not about them as people, but as their abilities or as creators.
Yeah.
I'm not fucking, when the fuck who are you? I don't know you. I never mentioned you. I never addressed anything that involves you.
Just I get wanting to have a cherished piece of media, one that you love so goddamn dearly, but it's at the same time, just it's not that important. You can move on to something else. Like it's like no one's get there will never be the perfect media that everybody likes because contrarians exist. But like everything, the reason we don't have that is so we can have all these fucking stories. That's why we can have shit going wild in one direction. Because even though there's always gonna be someone who hates it, there's also gonna be someone who loves it too. Absolutely. People who will love it a lot, and I think that's a very comforting thought.
Go on.
So no, but like but the point I'm trying to get is like, bros, guys, it shouldn't fucking matter this much. Like, don't take something that you didn't make specifically and just like make that your whole image. It doesn't have to be that way. Like, no. Bro, it really don't. It's not that important.
I remember one of the comments, and I think I featured it in one of my videos, but one of my favorite comments for the Les Linders thing was a dude who was like, dude, if you said that to the face of like Minos or Miles, they would kick the shit out of you. And I'm just like, they're not real, bro. Like, at best they're like 2 inches tall because they only exist on a piece of paper. I think I can take them. Miles definitely, Minos maybe. Like, it's one of, like, they're not real, bro. Yes, they would kick my ass if we lived in fairy tale land where they existed, but then I could also just draw myself as Saitama and I could just fucking one punch them. Like, what?
It literally would be easy. It's just you without the hat.
Yeah. Like, what is this? What? They would kick my ass in real life if I said that to their face. I mean, yeah, but you know what? I would probably die if someone shot me. Like, what the fuck is this hypothetical shit?
If I go outside, I can get struck by lightning.
Yeah,
but I could also. But you know what? I could also be Shazam, and then where would you be if we're talking about fairy tale bullshit?
I still think, like, when now that we have opened Pandora's box now, with the whole fucking Les Linders thing, I remember there was this one dude who would comment on damn near every Les Linders video, and it would be a fucking
retort.
What?
Retort? Like he was trying to like.
I was almost going to say like a whole Iliad of like back and forth between me and this dude, because he would just continue to be like, this isn't an issue because such and such. I'm like, yes, it is because such and such. And it's funny how like I would always like I'm not even trying to be like fucking cringy or anything right now, but I would always like own him with facts and logic, and like verifiable proof. Where he would be like, no, but what if this then? And like we never got anywhere. And I remember like I realized at one point that this person didn't know what the fuck they were doing, because at one point they were like, man, the shit you draw is so fucked up. Like you need to go to a mental hospital. And I'm like, I don't, I haven't drawn. You're referring to tile cards. That's not me, bro. Like, you have done so little research that you don't even know. Like, you didn't even watch the intro in which it says title card by Hugo Junstrand. Like, bro.
Imagine watching a video and not watching the video. Yeah. That's what it's like going into the YouTube comment section.
Sometimes, yeah.
Man. I wish I had, like, sometimes I wish that I had, like, opinions strong enough to make a video about. But then I look at your comment sections like, you know what, maybe it's good that I don't feel too strongly about these kinds of things. Yeah. I'm always one of those people who's like, who am I to judge when I haven't done shit yet? Which is honestly not the most fair thing to say, because you can, like, have an opinion on something even if you don't make things yourself. But I'm also one of those people who's like really prideful of the things I do make. But it's like, but I feel like if you would tell me it's ass, I would say, yeah, I know it's ass, but I made it anyway. So
there's definitely, for some reason, I don't think that like a movie critic or anything gets this, but I definitely feel like me as a webcomic reviewer have gotten a whole lot of, where's your comic if you have an opinion like this? And I think it was my friend Alex who at one point said, like, when you go to a restaurant, do you then have to be a chef to say that the food tastes bad?
Yeah.
Like, no.
It's like a weird. It's like that's always a weird thing. Like you don't have to do the thing to like know what it is in and out. If you can have the knowledge without being a creator, you know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna name the person because I honestly don't think that they deserve it. But I remember there was a person who tried to create their own webcomic review thing. And they made it specific, like very, very clear that they were thinking poorly of me because they were like, and I know what I'm talking about because I am actually a webcomic creator, unlike some people. And it's just like,
oh, I remember this.
like, yes, and that is why your webcomic show fucking bombed because. Yes, you may be a webcomic creator yourself, but you can articulate your self-worth absolute fucking dog shit, and you have a personality worth of a shoe. But that's just me.
Personality worth of a shoe. Not even like a Gucci shoe. It's like a used Sketcher.
It's one where the light lights up. Just barely, like where you have to like turn off the lights and like do the thing where you like do the binoculars with your hands, and then you like get real close so you can see like that kind of sketches.
That's like the saddest shoe, bro.
You're fucking a heely shoe without the wheel.
Oh. Oh, I just got sad thinking about that. That is a rare insult if I've ever heard one.
But it's a good one.
It's a really good one. I gotta remember that.
Fuck it, I'm making it the title of this podcast.
A heely wheel without its shoe.
Yeah.
Wait, no. I had it backwards, but no, that's good too. Damn it.
Yeah, you're just the wheel. You're not even the shoe.
You're not even the shoe. What the fuck? I love this podcast, bro.
It's a fucking travesty. Do we have any questions, by the way?
We actually have a lot. I was actually wondering if we can do 3 today, because we got, like, a lot over the weekend.
Sure.
Alright, so first one, it's going to be, like, a quick one. So this one's from Shiza, and he has 2 questions. What would you say makes a good video game for you? Also, have you played Fallout New Vegas?
Oh, God. I would say the gameplay. Like,
yeah, I would say the gameplay too.
Like people are always like living out about graphics or story or music or anything like that. But like, if I want good music, I'll listen to an album. If I want a story, I'll read a book. If like the thing I'm playing a video game for is the fucking like gameplay, and I know that's rich coming from a guy who loves Metal Gear, but but yeah, ultimately gameplay.
Like,
and yeah, go
on. Like tacking onto that, and I'm sorry for interrupting, because I think you were going to get into this too. But it's like when you have games that where like the story is the main focus, they also use the gameplay as like a medium to tell the story.
Oh yeah,
because like I know Metal Gear does that a lot, and like my favorite. Sorry, I haven't played, as you know, because I didn't have a PlayStation growing up.
Oh yeah.
But my favorite example is like Psycho Mantis. Because you have to plug it into the second controller. Motherfucker reads your memory card disk. It's like you're using the medium of a game to tell the story of how fucking wild and crazy this shit is. Like it's yeah. Go ahead.
I think there's a few people who does it like Kojima, because there's I remember in PT, this is such a small little thing, but I feel like it like when I noticed that, I really feel like it encapsulated just how much Kojima thinks about these things. Where it's like, in PT, there's one point where you have to look through a hole in the wall. And you're hearing this very, very, very visible sound of someone getting stabbed to death in, like, basically on the other side of the wall. Now, the thing is, you have to hold the button to keep looking through. And that is a very good, like, that is such a good way of conveying that you're actually forcing yourself to look through. You have to, like, both you and the character you're playing are forcing yourselves to look through this. Mm-hmm. They also did it with the torture machine in Metal Gear Solid, where you have to mash the button to survive the torture, and you're going to get exhausted and tired as much as you can when you're like just pressing a button, but it's a great way of putting you into the emotional and physical mindset of what Snake is feeling like. And I feel that's fucking genius when you can bridge that gap so well.
Which, honestly, that's the perfect way to say it, because the way I was trying to say it. Like, you just encapsulated it perfectly. It's like when the gameplay serves to, like, serve the story in a video game, it's fucking wild. So, ultimately, yeah, makes a good video game, make a really good gameplay.
Yeah.
That's
also
all
think,
I was gonna say, too.
Plus, there's also a game that doesn't really get enough credit for this is Devil May Cry 5. I'm gonna spoil that real quick.
Go ahead.
But when you first when you first start playing that game for real, because it starts medias res. So when you start the game for real, you're playing as Nero, and when you're playing, it has this kind of like slow drum and bass version of the Devil Trigger theme, and then it actually takes a while before you actually get into real combat, where they play the Devil Trigger track, which obviously at that point had become super popular. Yeah. And then at the very end, you manage to actually pull said Devil Trigger. And when you do that, you're squaring off against Virgil. And when you're looking at, and when you're just facing him, there's this very, very sad, like somber violin track playing. And then once you activate your Devil Trigger, the camera zooms in on Nero as he flips his finger high up in the air and screams out, "Fuck you!" There's a huge sound explosion, and you get the most hype electrified version of the Devil Trigger track, and it's called Silver Bullet, which is another lyric part of the Devil Trigger theme. And it's just like you're now feeling that Nero has really just evolved. It's not just like the typical rock Devil Trigger track that you knew from where you knew the rock music from Dante's track. Now it's full on electro, because now he's a person of his own, and they do that so well with this, and that is the type of storytelling that you can only really do through video games.
That is so fucking cool. You know what? I'm gonna see if I can borrow like my brother's copy of Devil May Cry 5 so I can have a chance at playing it. Because
you really need to.
Yeah, because I keep forgetting. Well, it's weird because like I keep right now I'm just playing through Bloodborne because as my first PS4 game, I'm getting my ass handed to me and I just beat Father Gascoigne. It took me like what, a month?
That's fair. You know what? That's fair.
I mean, I also want to put it out. Like, I have not played video games much. Like, the majority of games I've been playing, I've been digging up like my old Game Boy ROMs, and I've been going through that. I've gone through like Boktai, which is another Kojima property. That game's fucking wild. Like
Boktai.
We gotta talk about this at some point, where you can go off about Metal Gear, and I can talk about Boktai and how Kojima handles space vampires. Oh my god.
You know what? I will gladly talk about that. What the fuck?
Well, we'll have that be another podcast when we do that. Yeah, but like, I don't play a lot of video games that much, and I really should be doing it more. Bloodborne is fun because like it's one of those punishing games, or it's like it makes you pay attention more, and like I love it's really fast, and like it's when you get to a certain rhythm, it's satisfying. Although it probably could be a lot harder because I am using a whip cane, and as I'm going online, I'm finding out people don't like the whip cane. But
yeah, the whip cane is the worst weapon.
Yeah, but I like it though. It's cool.
It's cool. Like, that's the weapon I started out with as well. And then people were like, bitch, you don't even use the axe. Don't even fucking talk to me.
I know! But anyway, yeah, I should get a chance to play.
Absolutely. And I want you to give, like, a full rundown of how much you have played every time that you hop on the podcast.
When I start playing, I'll definitely let you know. I'll make a day of it.
Yes, I have played Fallout New Vegas, and I think it's fine.
I have started playing Fallout New Vegas because you bought it for me, Caesar. Thank you very much. It is pretty fun. I like it. I am not used to the VAT system because this is my first Fallout game, and I quickly finding out trying to go for a melee build does not make this game like Skyrim. It's a lot harder than I was expecting. I can't just run and mash people. At least not right now. Apparently you can later. Yeah. But yeah, that is my thing. Next question we have from our dear friend Amokin.
Oh.
And she says, "My peps, what is a good deed that you've done in your life that you never get to talk about that makes you feel really good? I'm giving you an excuse to humble brag. Let's inspire good deeds. It makes us feel good in the end of these dark times." Amokin.
Okay. There are... Now it just feels wrong to bring it out. There are several webcomic creators who I have been in talks with when I was still a manager and had like a big disposable income, where every now and again, and this isn't like what we talked about earlier, where it's like hint, hint, nudge, nudge. They were confiding in me about financial issues or something like that. And I remember one person in particular, they were like, yeah, we really need like just this amount of money, and then like otherwise we can't really make rent. And I was like, okay, can you tell me what is 2 plus 2? And they're like, what? And I'm like, just trust me. What is 2 plus 2? And they go, that's 4. Oh, great, you have now provided me a service. I'm gonna PayPal you the amount as a compensation for that service. We have now done a trade. You do not have to like that way. You got around like certain tax things apparently you have in America or something.
Yeah.
And so like I have probably. I don't have a number on it, so I'm not even gonna try. But I've donated a lot of money. In private to various different comic creators who I knew needed it where I didn't.
That's really, honestly, really sweet. It makes my thing sound so dumb in comparison, but that's still really cool.
What did you do?
Okay, this is just a very small, very, very tiny thing. But like this, I want you to imagine young super weeb high school Cloudy going to his first anime convention, and the first thing I do is like I go to like the artist alley and I buy a bunch of buttons, I put them in my hat because Cloudy does that. So I'm sitting in the panel and there's like this little kid. I don't notice her at first, but she's like sitting behind me and she's like staring at my hat really like googly eyed because she liked the pins on it. And and I'm having fun at the panel. It's really cool and interesting. I'm getting up from my chair. It's over, and I hear this little girl behind me going "Ashiwat, Ashiwat" because I bought like the Gen 5 Pokemon pins on my hat, and like I see her like jumping up and down, excited at seeing her favorite Pokemon. I guess I'm like, "Oh, you like this?" And I don't know what possessed me to do this, but I just took the button off my hat and I gave it to her. I was like, "Here you go," and because like I wasn't gonna tell her to point to the artist alley because like she's like small baby. I don't even think she's allowed to buy things. So like, here, take it. It's all good. And she was and like the look on her face was so happy. It just made me smile. I felt like I did a good thing that day.
My stepsister likes to tease me about this one thing I once did for her, where I think I mentioned it in passing before, but my stepdad used to be extremely strict. And it was basically like a military household where, you do what you fucking like are told to do. And so at one point she was told to do the laundry, and it was like a big fucking like again, I lived in a house with 7 people, so like that's a lot of laundry, and so she had to hang that up because it was like her turn to do it, and I don't recall what it was. I think she was preparing for an exam or something, so she didn't have the time to do it, and the laundry what's it called? What you hang your laundry on? Like a
coat hanger?
Yeah,
No, coat hanger. I just call them hangers. I don't know if there's another word for it.
Like it's a little stand that you whip out and then you hang it on that.
Yeah.
That one was placed outside of my room, and so I remember I had to go to the bathroom or something, and I walk out and I see that this one is still empty. She has not hung up the laundry, and so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it, and I didn't tell anyone about it, and so I hang up all the laundry. It takes me like an hour or so, and then later my stepdad comes in and is like, "Did you hang up the laundry that your sister was supposed to do?" I'm like, no, I think she did it. Is it done? Like, played dumb, and she realized that someone else had done it, and there was only really one who was awake at the time, and that was me. So she still teases me about how I played fucking superhero at that point, where it's like, no, I didn't do anything. What? Me? No.
Oh, it's the little moments like that are just, bro. That shows how good of a person you are. Like, I'm trying to flatter you, but that's like, that's just legitimately wholesome, and I love it.
Well, like Amo said, it was time to humble brag.
Yeah. Okay. And the last one I'm actually going to choose, we got this morning, and it's actually really interesting. This one's from Mr. Shane O'Brien. And he says, "Dear Riiser and Cloudy, been enjoying the podcast, love listening to them while I do some drawing. I have for you 2 dumb questions, lol. First question, the not so fun question. With the argument about personal taste versus rules in storytelling when it comes to online reviews and works of media games, comics, and shows, do you worry that a bad written stories like Las Lindas or Blizzard games and online reviews like Movie Bob and Lily Orchard, who act as their opinions on movies and shows of facts," this is a long question, "are fact? They act like their opinions are fact, and what's not their cup of tea will say it's bad and act like it's not set in stone or blah blah blah. With them having a large following, do you worry that they might influence people who are interested in writing stories or take the advice to heart? Basically, do you think bad reviewers are making bad stories? Is what that question boiled down to.
Kind of, yes. I don't recall. Both yes and no. I feel like the people who ultimately want to create a story, create their own thing, are gonna create their own thing, and that's when you're gonna get like the good shit. There's definitely like there are people who will follow the norm and expectations, like to the letter. So like they will be told, no, this thing is bad, and they will adhere to it, not even understanding why it's bad. They're just gonna assume that it's bad or good, and that's when you end up with shit like David Cage games or something, where it's like no thought was put into this. This was just like I did what I thought people wanted at this time. There's definitely been cases where you could see like a trend of things. I even think like we are in one now where it's like horror movies needs to make you angsty rather than it needs to like the Alien and Aliens are fucking some of my most favorite movies. Like my favorite movie of all time is The Thing. And it's like, this one is like one that fills you with existential dread, but it's also a funny movie. Like there's bits of like with the character interactions when they interact with each other, where it's like they say some fucking hilarious shit, But it feels like today horror movies are all about like being depressive and angsty and shot in an awkward way to make you feel like, oh, this is awkward, rather than like do something that's just like where it doesn't make you uncomfortable to with the way it's shot, but more like what it is actually portraying. And like that is a trend you can see in a lot of horror movies, both popular and indie ones. And I think that's because certain people have come out and said, oh no, the way these things are shot is uninspired. And so yeah, I definitely feel like you can tell that there are certain creators who unfortunately leave their mark. But I ultimately think that it all comes down to mainstream. Like, what do people like to see now, rather than like one online creator who said something. But then again, I don't know, I'm going on a while here, but you have people like Nostalgia Critic and Channel Awesome, where they have fucking poisoned the well when it comes to online creators. Luckily, we're slowly like branching off from that now. But I can attest to this because I used to drink from that poison well, which was that online creators needs to be frothing around the mouth over the smallest thing, and they need to be overly critical. They need to only give shit without ever complimenting anything. And I understand that is one of the major differences between a critic and a reviewer. I think that people still don't understand, because they think that there's only a thing like critics if you're online, which is not the case. And then like you have people like Linkara, who wasn't a critic. He brandished himself as a reviewer, and his stuff was also just criticism. And it's like that poisoned the well on what online creators could and should be. And I'm glad that more and more people are now like branching out of that.
I like that. Like, no, I think you're good. I think your logic is as sound as it can possibly get. Because I was having the same thoughts, because I'm thinking about this question. Like, while there is, you kind of summed it up in the beginning, where there's going to be a lot of people, good reviewers, bad reviewers or not, even if you have a lot of big followings, even if you do end up adjusting something, people are just kind of fucking, they're either going to do their own thing anyway, despite what they're going to do, or they're going to like listen to this wholehearted, and then they're going to be another thing. It's this thought where just because there's going to be a more of a bigger avenue for like bad content, that does not invalidate or erase the good content, because the good content's still out there. It's going to be harder to find, I suppose, if you're talking about sheer volume, but fucking it's still going to be out there. We're not going to be in like this bit dystopia where all good content's phased out and everything's going to be samey. There's always going to be like the weird off niche thing. And kind of like what we talked about at the beginning of this podcast, there's no media that's ever going to be perfect. Liking something goodness is kind of subjective. What you like is going to be completely different from someone else likes. And something about Nostalgia Critic that I actually find notice, where he inadvertently did something good. Do you know about Nostalgia Critic's the Wall review?
Oh yeah.
Apparently, that's opened the doors. Like, I haven't seen these myself, but like, it's opened the doors for adult animation to do a room like the wall. I keep saying the wall like sequence, because during the trial, everything gets super fucking tricky, and there's like a guy in a ragdoll thing, and like there's two homages where like it comes to mind. There's like the sequence in BoJack Horseman, where he's like having a dream sequence and everything's going slowly, getting more and more chaotic as he's dealing with his own depressive emotions.
Oh yeah, that one's fucking rad.
Yeah, that one, like, I still have to watch BoJack Horseman, but like when the comparison was being made, I'm like, huh, that's pretty fucking cool.
I will say the court part of the wall there is apparently done by a person who is really, 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 really into child torture. At least in their fiction, at least. But it's like it's a prominent theme in literally every creation they've made. I think Dead Winged Dog has like a video about it.
I'm gonna have to watch that then. Because But like another thing where it's like the thing I was gonna bring up, like what was that? What's that Vivzy Pop thing? Hell of a Boss. They actually do in the last episode they kind of do their own The Wall kind of sequence where one of the characters is being thrown around like a rag doll, being forced to confront their own anxieties and shit, and like just having to process it in their own twisted way. And I think like I kind of want to give the credit to Nostalgia Critic because like the Wall was always this. I keep saying The Room. Fuck. But like The Wall. It's kind like because the critic misunderstood it so fucking hard. Now The Wall is more popular than it's ever been, and it's kind of making its breakthrough into like animation. So we kind of inadvertently did a good thing, even if we was trying to discredit the whole thing. So like, even if you have a bad reviewer shitting on a thing, some good may come out of it. Yeah. Who fucking knows?
I will also say that I had a point to make about the whole online like people saying, "Oh, this is bad," and then like people taking that as gospel. There's definitely like I haven't watched Lily Orchard's video. I can infer that they are not very good, but I can imagine that even they have something where it's like, oh, okay, that is true, and I think that like a good creator will be able to go in and discern like what of this is personal, like what is what this person is saying is just this person's personal bias, and what of this is actually factual poor like creation. Like I don't like Mora from Les Lindas. That's 100% personal, and because there are people who will like Mora typically because of her huge tits, but then there's things where it's like, oh, the creators straight up forgot that Prism blew up. It's like, that one is not up to debate. That is 100% just a fucking flaw. That is them like not keeping track of their own fucking law. That will always be bad. But characters like Mora may not always be bad. And I think a good creator will be able to discern like what of this is the critic or reviewer's personal bias and what of this is actually factual, like an issue. And I think like the good creators are the ones who will actually go in and try and think about that. Like, okay, what is it that makes this bad? Do I agree? Like, if I take the adoration or whatever I have for this online reviewer creator thing, if I take that completely out of the picture, do I agree with this statement? Yes, no, maybe so, and then like why? And once you start asking those questions, then you have done yourself a great service, because that makes you also realize why certain things are bad and why sometimes certain things aren't bad.
No, I get it. That's pretty much it. Like, I'm thinking. I kind of got stuck thinking about like the last Linda's review, and I think it's like really, like that review is fascinating because like your complaints with Last Linda's wasn't just tearing into it. It was this. All the pieces are there for a really great story, but there's something that fucks it up horribly that stops my enjoyment, and I think that's incredibly fascinating. Yeah. And using Mora as an example, like I can agree with you because like you know what? Big tits aside, if we just take like the character traits for Mora, there is so much in her for like the potential to be like a really fascinating character where, you know, she's like someone stooping to the low out of like desperation and becomes like kind of like a villain-esque kind of character and does really shady things out of like, it all comes down to like sincere love for her family because she loves the farm because her mom like started it. That's like, you know, villainy coming from a good place and then slowly through like, you know, the notion of having like a family surrounding you, picking you out of that villainy and then becoming a good person because of it. That's like in terms of anime shit, that's my fucking crack cocaine. I live for that. Yeah. But it's like all the pieces are there to have it, but like the way it's executed and the way some things are done, it just like, you know, 2 steps forward and a triple backflip back. It's like, bro, fucking, you don't even say it's just bad because I don't like it. It's like you even say, I am so close to liking it, and that's why I hate it. And I think that's when someone who's actually trying to listen critically to finish their work, they can actually pick up on that, especially because I think that was a big thing you were trying to put off. It's like, hey, use this as a learning tool. I am so close to liking this. If you want to do this, fucking listen, because like if you want to do this, you can make Mora, and you can make Mora that I like, and that's like perfect. That's like, I think that's the best way to get that kind of criticism. Like even if someone completely vehemently disagrees with everything, and they like focus on all the positives. I mean, if there's a lot of things that you missed, or a lot of things that you didn't understand, or whatever, there's like, even if there's a whole bunch of valid reasons you don't disagree, you can still, as long as you can still take some sort of value from what you're saying and apply it constructively, even if you do or don't agree with it, I think that's like the best you can get out of a reviewer. Never take advice like that wholesale. No. I'm not saying like you have to like put in like the effort to like read between the lines. Oh, what does this mean? But it's more like take everything with a grain of salt. Like,
yeah, it's especially me. Like, if I say, "Oh my God, fucking Made in the Abyss is the worst fucking garbage fire in the world," don't believe his lies. I was about to say no. Like if you what I give you is. And that is why it's always like highlighted at the beginning of the video, is that it's based on personal taste and personal preferences. Mm-hmm. So, like, if what I'm discussing sounds like something, hey, maybe this is actually not that bad, and you then want to go check it out, absolutely go and fucking check it out. This is just like my personal opinion, and it's more like a buyer beware kind of thing, where it's like, hey, I had this experience, but who knows? Maybe you would have your own. So again, absolutely base your own opinion, and like you can always use a review or a criticism or something as a reference tool, but ultimately make your own decisions.
Yeah. I think that's what it all boils down to. Like, yeah. We can say that bad reviewers are poisoning the well for good creations, but at the same time, you're not going to invalidate a good creation because more bad shit's out there. But even then, a good creator will take whatever review they're finding and get the criticism out of it. And they'd be able to sort out the vitriol from the actual good shit. Yeah. So you don't have... The idea is just like never take everything wholesale. Never take everything at face value. Always think critically if you're going to be creative. And that's what it all boils down to.
Absolutely.
There is a second question that's a little... He said, and the fun question... If you had the job to remake 2 bad webcomics you review, and 2... Hold on, wait. Which 2 will that be, and how will you make them better? And I feel like that's an easy one to answer, because just watch the reviews. Because you say that during your reviews, how you'd make it better.
If there's 2 bad comics, I would... Like, if I had the ability, and was paid to do it, because if I'm doing that for free... If I could sit down and fix 2 comics that I have reviewed, it would be Made in Abyss and Las Lindas. Because, like we've been over before, there's absolutely things in here that can not just work, but can be fucking amazing if you just didn't shit the bed And so I like that would just be a fucking easy paycheck because like the groundwork is there. We can fucking fix this shit.
Like, honestly, I mean, I never reviewed any of these webcomics, so I don't know if I can answer, but like, I think you do the best job with those two. The Man in Abyss is easy. Just get rid of the fucking human toilet and like all the weird fetishy stuff.
And
Isn't
pace
that
out the violence, and then you're good.
Isn't that kind of what the anime was doing?
They were doing that a lot. They were doing something to make it less overtly sexual. There was still like uncomfortably sexual stuff in there, but most of the time when it was displayed, it was sometimes like a more of a joke thing. Whereas with the comic, it had one of those things where I'm sure that you've seen like when you were reading Bleach, in between chapters, there's just like the artist flexing with a quick little illustration or something.
Yeah.
Made in Abyss would have that with like one of the little kids hanged up in shibari bondage, and it's like, okay, that like it's not even as a joke anymore. This is just blatant, like for titillating. Like fuck me.
Yeah, like that. Like that's Made in Abyss's thing. Just like scrub that out, or like I don't know, make narrative weight to it. Like get rid of the middle bumpers, because Well, for Lost Lindas, it's like, yeah, all the groundwork's fucking there. Just like focus more bits on the lore, keep things consistent. Like, fuck out. Like I don't even give a shit about the cheesecake at this point. Like if you want to keep that in, go the fuck ahead.
Fucking keep that in if you want.
Just like fucking, keep things a little more, like keep things consistent. Go back and read a couple things. Like make sure you have your lore intact. Like don't have characters flip flopping.
Like I haven't read the comic in a while, but like if you read UberQuest, for example, that one show, like you can absolutely have fucking a lot of cheesecake as long as it doesn't like detract from the actual plot. And from what I can remember of UberQuest, again, I haven't read it in a while, was that they managed to balance that pretty fucking well.
Yeah. It just just because you want to like jump on some cow tits, we're not gonna like make fun of you for that specifically. Just
maybe
make the plot good. Well, maybe a little bit, but like just make it consistent, make it a story.
Yeah,
that's all we ask.
Don't have a fucking sad scene where someone's like, "Oh my God, my life is falling apart," and then you just have tits on screen. Like there's a time to have the titties and just don't fuck that up.
Yeah, just you don't gotta flash the ass while someone's having an emotional breakdown.
No, or dying like in fucking High School of the Dead.
Oh yeah, that was a thing. Oh god, that was a thing.
That was indeed a thing.
Anyway, if you guys want to send questions to our webcast, please send your all questions to webcastrelief@gmail.com.
That's webcastrelief@gmail.com.
This was a good stream. I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Well, it wasn't a stream.
Well, yeah, you're right. You're right. It was not a stream because solidarity.
Yeah.
But I guess we should like ping everybody in the server and be like, hey, fucking, we're doing this one offline today. You're still getting a podcast, but it's not streamed. We're done.
Yeah. I'll have to figure out how I'm gonna do that, like posting it on YouTube. We'll have to see. But for now, we will see you guys next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.